the rats are smart, right? Like, if you don't get them the first time with a trap, you are not getting the rats. That is it. They won't go anywhere near it. So day after day, I sit here at my computer, trying to get work done, listening to the rats scuttle in the walls, conspiring against me. I've got a deadline to meet, and I can't write a word. And the worst part is, now I have to get up every 10 minutes and check all these traps to see whether I've caught anything. I hate to admit it, but my girlfriend is right. I'm becoming obsessed. And I confess these things one day on the phone when I'm talking to my mom. Anybody want to hazard a guess as to what my mom said? Oh, you're just like your father. But my father's obsession wasn't rats, it was beavers. You see, when I was a little kid, my parents bought this farmland, and they were unaware that the picturesque stream meandering up through the field was already home to a thriving colony of beavers. And a pattern quickly emerged. The beavers built dams, my father destroyed them. He started with traps, moved quickly to firearms, progressed over the years to dynamite. He especially seemed to get a kick out of blowing the dams on Sunday when the rest of the village was sitting in service at the Anglican church just down the road. On one of these Sundays, he took me along with one of his drinking buddies. And I can remember standing there and watching them. They had these big, big long pry bars, metal pry bars, and they were jamming them down into the dam, into the muck, creating holes. And then they packed the thing full of dynamite. And my dad unspooled this long roll of wire back. And until there was no wire left, he was, whatever he was, 60 feet away or something. Pretty close, as it turned out. And he kneels down. It was this 2-strand wire, and he had one of those somebody here probably had one of those old batteries, that weighed 5 tons. The whole thing, it was like a lunchbox, and the battery was the bottom part of the lunchbox. He had one of those. So he kneeled, he got down on his knees, and he leans over this thing, and I will never forget it, because before he touched the fuse, he looked up at me and he started to giggle. And then he said, "Run!" And I don't remember exactly how old I was, maybe 6 or 7, but I was old enough to know at that point that when my dad said run, you ran. So I turned around and I made a beeline. I don't know how far I got before this explosion rumbles through the ground under my feet and sends rock the size of bowling balls flying hundreds of feet through the air. When I finally regained consciousness, my dad's buddy was slapping me lightly across the face, bringing me to. He said, "Jesus, kid, I hate to be the one to break this to you, but your old man is crazy." So it would make perfect sense that 25 years down the road, my dad is the one who solves the rat problem for me. Rats hate fire, he says one day over the phone. Rats hate fire. All you have to do is singe one's fur. The rest will vacate the premises. I said, "How am I supposed to do that?" And he said, "Well, you got to catch a live one." "I can't even catch a dead one," I told him. But my father had planted a seed. That night I hatched my plan. First thing the next morning, I was going down to the hardware store and I was going to get myself a blowtorch. One of those, a reasonable blowtorch, one of those little hand ones for thawing your pipes. I found myself a stethoscope on Craigslist in the health and beauty section. I was going to go around the next day and listen at the walls until I located the main nest. Then I would fire up the trusty blowtorch, just set it right close at hand. That way, when I ripped off the paneling, I'd be able to grab up the torch, scorch whatever rat happened to be huddling frozen in the righteous beam of my headlamp, and scorch him. I knew it was a plan my father would approve of. The only hitch was I had to wait for my girlfriend to get out of the house and leave for work in the morning. I thought about telling her, but I really kind of wanted to spare the unnecessary stress. I knew she'd be worried after that other episode where I almost burned the house down. And the thing was, I really wanted to reassure, about the rats, about the money, about everything. But how do you ever really convince somebody else of a feeling you've got in your gut, because that's kind of like faith, right? How could I expect her to believe that by this time tomorrow the rats would be gone, the house would stand, the money would start rolling in, my book was going to write itself all the way to a happy ending? How could I convince her that things were going to change? I could feel it. Thank you.